Welcome friends to my Python classes. In this video we are going to learn a little more about nested if else, which is a continuation video of the previous videos on the same series. In this video we are going to learn about how one condition and the other condition which follows it has got an interrelationship. So let us see the question. This question is very common question and it is always there in every book where you are being taught about nested if else. Now the program is to accept length of 3 sides and check whether the triangle can be formed or not. Now what is the condition in which the triangle can be formed? When the sides are given, sum of 2 sides should be always greater than the third side. Because if sum of any 2 sides is not greater than or is equal to the third side, then in that case they are not going to form 3 angles. They are going to just lie on the largest line. So geometrically it is not possible to make a triangle if sum of any 2 sides of that geometrical shape is lesser than the third side. Now it is not just to tell you that whether the triangle is possible or not. In this program, if a triangle can be formed, mention the type of triangle among scalene triangle, isosceles triangle and equilateral triangle. Now what are these? Scalene triangle is a triangle where all 3 sides are different. They are not equal to each other. Isosceles triangle is only 2 sides are equal, the third side is not equal. And equilateral triangle, it is all 3 sides must be equal. So let us try to understand what is there in this flowchart. In this flowchart, we have taken A, B and C. This is the 3 sides that we are going to take, length of 3 sides. Now, whether the triangle is possible or not, that we need to establish. So for that, the condition that we have checked is whether A plus B is greater than C, A plus C is greater than B and B plus C is greater than A. That means always sum of any 2 sides, should be greater than the third side. Say for example, if I consider sides to be 1, 2 and 3. Now if I just check whether like randomly sum of 2 sides is greater than the third side or not, in this case 2 plus 3 is equals to 5 and 5 is greater than 1. So if I just check it in one single way or one aspect, I might identify incorrect result. So in that case what actually is needed, we check it in all possible ways, like 1 plus 2 is 3, so 3 is not greater than 3. So in that case triangle is not possible. So if any of the 3 aspects like A plus B is greater than C, A plus C is greater than B or B plus C is greater than N, any of the 3 aspect fails, then we will say that triangle is not possible. Now let us consider that if it is not possible, that means if it is not satisfying, we are showing triangle not formed. And if it is possible, then students, what we need to actually find out whether the triangle is equilateral, isosceles or scalene in nature. So we need to check. Now what are we checking here? The first condition we are checking as A is equals to B and B is equals to C. Now if you remember in my previous video, we have discussed about the role of and role of or. Now and says that both the conditions should be satisfying. Now just think, if I consider the height of, simple example with which I can make you understand that. Now say if A is Arnav, B is Vilas and C is Charlie. Now just think, if the height of Arnav and Vilas exactly are equal and Vilas and Charlie's height are exactly equal, that itself means what? Arnav and Charlie, they two are also of the same height. So I don't need to check it. Like in the previous video we have discussed about the inclusive conditions. Now in this case, if these two are confirming, we don't need to check whether A is equals to C or not. It implicitly means, it itself means that the value of A must be equals to C if these two are satisfying. Now if these all three aspects like A is equals to B, B is equals to C and A is equals to C, all three are actually satisfying, then in that case I will consider it to be an equilateral triangle. So triangle can be formed very much and the type of the triangle formed will be equilateral. Now say for example, if I consider that the values of A, B and C are 2, 2 and 3. Now in that case, if I consider this to be A, this to be B and this to be C. Now A is equals to B, 2 is equals to 2. But is B equals to C? No. So in that case, is it going to be considered as an equilateral triangle? No. It is going to come down to the else part. Now in else, what am I checking? I'm checking whether any of these three aspects, like if A is equals to B or B is equals to C or A is equals to C. Any of these three, these are conditioned as or. So any of these three satisfies, then it is going to be considered as an isosceles triangle. So in this case, this should be considered as an isosceles triangle. Now let us consider another aspect. The other aspect of this is, say I'm now making it now 12, 22 and 33. Now let us start from the beginning. What is happening? Is A plus B greater than C? 12 plus 22 is 34. It's greater than 33. Now A plus C. Is A plus C, that is 12 plus 33, that is 45, greater than 22? Yes. Now B plus C. B plus C is going to be 55, that is far greater than 12. So a triangle can be formed. Now will this satisfy? Is A equals to B or B equals to C? No. So this is not going to be satisfying. Will this satisfy? No, because none of the sides are equal. So what will happen in this case? It is going to show a scalene triangle. So this is how the flowchart actually should be made. Now in this, I'm going to show you another aspect of the flowchart which is going to be incorrect. Why am I going to show you incorrect flowchart? Because from there we are going to learn something new. Now what I have done, if you notice, I have taken the condition for isosceles triangle first and then equilateral triangle. Can I do that? No, I can never do it. The reason is, I am showing you a simple example. Let me consider the value of A to be 3, value of B also to be 3 and value of C to be 3. Now in the previous flowchart, it was showing us exactly correct output all the time. But now let us see whether this shows the correct result or not. Now A plus B greater than C, yes, it is going to be greater in any case, because A plus B or A plus C or B plus C, anyway it is going to be 6 and 6 is always greater than 3. So triangle is possible. Now triangle is possible here. Now what are we finding here? We are finding there are three conditions combined together with the logical operator OR. And OR says any of this satisfies, then we could grossly say that the whole condition has satisfied. Now A is equals to B, 3 is equals to 3. So the first condition here satisfies. So in fact, even if I don't check the rest too, I can straight away say that the gross result of this whole compound condition is true. And if it is true, what it should display? Isosceles. So is it going to make isosceles triangle? No. It is basically an equilateral triangle. So what was the purpose of showing you this flowchart? This incorrect flowchart that I have shown you, the purpose was the priority of the condition. Which condition includes the other condition? Now if you see, isosceles triangle is only possible to be checked once if I have checked whether it is equilateral or not. Say, to make it easy, say if I don't disclose the value of C, I just tell you that there is a triangle where the first side is of 3 meter, second side is also 3 meter. Now tell me what is the type of the triangle. Will you be able to finalize the decision? No. You will have to ask me what about the third side, because till you not get the third side's length, you are not in a position to decide whether it is equilateral or not. Once equilateral fails, then you will say no, first two sides are equal, that means it is an isosceles triangle. So I think I have successfully made you understand what actually I wanted to mean. Always remember, whenever you are making a flowchart, the flowchart should run in a generic way. Generic way means it should run in all possible combination of the inputs. So we are going to not consider this flowchart. We are going to take the other flowchart which we have considered earlier. Now I will be showing you the code of it. And to show you the code, I need to take you to the Python IDE. So we are moving to a Python IDE. Here is the Python IDE on. Now what shall I do? I shall define a function. Now defining the function as get triangle type. And now how many values do I need? I need 3 values here. So possibly I will take all 3 inputs in integer form. So I will write enter the length of the first side Now in a similar way I will write just it's going to be second side and then the third side. Now once we have taken the third side, what I need to do is I need to check whether the triangle is possible or not. Now for checking that, what I shall write is a plus b should be greater than c and b plus c should be greater than a and a plus c should be greater than b. Now that is my condition perfectly framed. Now if I get inside it, triangle is possible. So I don't need to write triangle is possible as a separate instruction, because when I'll be writing the type of the triangle, that itself is going to mean that triangle is possible, because there I'll be either writing it as equilateral triangle is formed, isosceles triangle is formed, or scalene triangle is formed. So here in what circumstances I'm going to say that it is an equilateral triangle? If A is equals to B and B is equals to C. And I have told you friends that I don't need to conclude the third condition, which is A is equals to C, because if these two are satisfying, that itself means that the third condition is satisfying. So I'll write equilateral triangle is formed. Now what? We will write elif, and now this time what should be the condition? We should check whether A is equals to B, B is equals to C, or A is equals to C. And what shall I write? Isosceles triangle is formed, and now else I write scalene triangle is formed. Now see, else what shall I print? Right, no triangle is formed. So with this the program ends. Now let us see whether this is responding to the result correctly or not. So I have to call this function. Now there is some problem. Okay, the problem is in the name. What I did, I have done a typing error. So what I should do, I should correct it. Let it be with the wrong name only. Now it is asking the results to be shown. So I have taken 4, 2 and 1. Definitely the triangle will not be formed. I am calling it once again. This time I will give isosceles triangle is formed. Now let's check an equilateral triangle. That's showing the correct result. Now what? 3, 4 and 5. A scalene triangle is formed. So this is how the whole result is holistically seen in the flowchart first, and then once the flowchart is done, the program can be easily represented. So we are going to take in the same video a similar type of question, and there again we will be coming up with a solution which is somewhat similar, somewhat of the same structure. So almost a similar situation. Now the question here is, write a program to accept measurements of 3 angles in degrees and check whether a triangle can be formed or not. And if a triangle can be formed, mention the type of triangle among acute angle triangle, right angle triangle and obtuse angle triangle. So what is the basic requirement when the angles are known to us? Now we know that Euclidean geometry, there are many different types of geometry, and one of the geometry that we study in school level is Euclidean geometry. So according to Euclidean geometry, the sum of the angles of the 3 angles, basically sum of the 3 angles should be equals to 180 degree. And if all the angles of a triangle is lesser than 90 degree, then it is known as acute angled triangle. That means a triangle which is made up of all acute angles. Now if any of the angle is equal to 90 degree, then it is known as a right angle triangle. And if any of the angle is greater than 90 degree, then in that case it is obtuse angled triangle. So if you notice the flowchart says we are taking the 3 inputs, this time not the length but it is just the angles in degrees. Now if we are adding the three angles and we are finding that it is equal to 180, then in that case we can say that the triangle is possible. And if it is not that the case, then in that occurrence we are going to say that triangle is not formed. Now say the triangle is formed. Now what we need to check? We need to check if any of the angles is less than 90 degree. Sorry, it is not any of the angles, it is all the angles. Like if A is less than 90 and B is less than 90 and C is less than 90. So as AND, the logical operator AND is there, what we actually are expecting in this case, we expect that all three conditions should be satisfying and it should be yes. And if it is yes, then in that case we will say that it is an acute angle triangle. Say if this does not satisfy, then in that case it is going to come down here. Now if A is equals to 90 or B is equals to 90 or C is equals to 90, now in that case we are going to consider that the triangle is right angle triangle. And if it is neither acute angle triangle nor right angle triangle, then definitely it must be an obtuse angled triangle. So this actually completely matches with the previous program. Now I'll be taking you to the code, and so we'll have to move to the IDE. So we have come to the Python IDE where we have written the previous program. Now on the same program with minimum changes, I'm going to make the new program ready. So what I'll do is I'll first copy the whole code. The code is copied. If you remember, previous time we were getting a printing mistake here, so we are like rectifying it now. So now what we need to check here? We need to check if the sum is equals to 180, then triangle is possible. Now the first thing that we checked was whether all three sides are less than 90. So we have checked if A is less than 90, B is less than 90 and C is less than 90, then what we shall write? We shall write acute angled triangle is formed. Now if this is not the case, then in that case what we were checking, if any of the sides are any of the angle is equal to 90 degree. So written right angle triangle, and otherwise it is obtuse angled triangle. Now the program is ready. I'll be calling the program. So in order to call it, let's see whether this works the way we expect. Sorry, I need to make one more correction, but although I am running it, the correction what we actually expected, this should be what? It should be enter the first angle, enter the second angle, enter the third angle. Now I'll be calling it, this time expecting that it's going to ask me the correct question. Now I'll put say 60, 60 and 60. So it's an acute angle triangle is formed. Now I will run it once more. I have given 45, 45 and 89. No triangle is formed because the sum is not 180. Now, say it is 45, say it is 45, 45 and 90. So somewhere the problem is occurring. So let us go back to the code and then see what's the problem. The problem is, we have identified that it is A is equals to 90, B is equals to 90 and A is equals to 90 we have written. So we need to write this thing. Now I'll run it once more. So I'll put 45, 45 and then 90. It's giving me right angle triangle, correct result. I'll try once more for acute angled triangle. Once I will try for 120, 30 and 30 obtuse angle triangle, and once more to ensure that the whole thing is correct. Now I will put 78, 45 and 23. So it is not forming a triangle. Now I would like to show you one very interesting thing. The interesting thing is, if I put like this, that means it is accepting the negative numbers. But now see the problem. It is showing a right angle triangle is formed. Now, is it possible to have an angle negative? So if it is not possible, our program is allowing us to do so. So how to rectify it? Now there is a way to it. Like here, when you are copying it down, one extra thing you have to write, that is, if A is less than equals to 0 or B is less than equals to 0 or C is less than equals to 0, that means any of them if is less than 0 or equals to 0, because angles can never be 0 or negative. So what shall I write? I shall write print invalid inputs or input. Now after this, do I want to continue the program? No. So I can simply write return, and if I write this, let's see what happens. I'm calling it, I'm putting 180, 0 and again 0. So it is showing me invalid input. Or if I take the same inputs the way I was taking earlier, here also it is showing me invalid input. So in some extent in your programs you need to take care of these things. Now what has happened? In this block we have taken that if any of the sides is 0 or less, it should display invalid input and then return. Now what is the meaning of the word return? Return here means that we are finishing the function. The execution of all subsequent lines will not be done within a function if it encounters return. So with this, the video comes to an end. We are going to see more such problems. Till that time, you have to practice these things, explore more things, put more ideas into use, and then if in the process you find any problem or any query is there, please comment it below. I will definitely take care of that query. Thank you. Happy coding.